The Scarlet Letter by Zachary Rader, Sarah Pell, and Paula Spence.
What is an individual's role in society? Roger Chillingworth. That heaven had wrought an absolute miracle by transporting eminent doctor of physic from a German university bodily through the air and setting him down at the door of Mr. Dimsdale's study. This quote shows that the people in the town saw Chillingworth as someone who was here to save them. This gives Chillingworth the ability to give the town hope that he will be a good doctor. Hast thou not tortured him enough? This quote is Hester asking Chillingworth if he has tormented Dimsdale enough. Because Chillingworth is Dimsdale's doctor, he has the power to do whatever he wants to him. He uses this power to hurt Dimsdale because he does not like him. How do doctors affect society? Like Chillingworth, doctors affect the town in many ways. They can provide the community with hope or can determine what happens to a human's life. George Washington's death in 1799 was probably less a result of the minor throat infection that had afflicted him than of his physician's efforts to cure him by bleeding and purging. This quote shows that George Washington's doctor had the power to keep him alive, but failed, just like Chillingworth had the choice to help keep Dimsdale alive, but tortured him instead. Doctors Without Borders provide emergency care to millions of people caught in crisis. Doctors Without Borders is an example of how doctors provide hope to the community, just like in the Scarlet Letter.
Hester Prynne. She is an example of the consequences of adultery and how bad it is. Hester's life is an example of shame, humiliation, and isolation that she goes through. It had the effect of a spell, taking her out of ordinary relations with humanity and enclosing her in a sphere by herself. Hester is now isolated from everyone. She's now on her own, and she must figure out life for herself. It is our Hester, the town's own Hester, who is kind to the poor, so helpful to the sick, so comfortable to the afflicted. Hester affects society because she's nice, caring, and is helpful to everyone. It doesn't matter who it is, she doesn't treat anyone differently. A real-life example would be teenagers getting pregnant. They sometimes go through the same things Hester went through. When teenagers get pregnant, they sometimes get isolated by their friends, families, and peers.
Reverend Dimsdale. If thou feelest to be for thy soul's peace, and that thy earthly punishment will thereby be made more effectual to salvation, I charge thee to speak out the name of thy fellow sinner and fellow sufferer. This shows that he is a minister, and he is embarking wisdom upon the people. He is showing that he is a sinner, and people become skeptical of the church because people are concerned that if their reverend is a sinner, they should not follow him. By being a sinner, he has failed as a reverend of the church. We are not, Hester, the worst sinners in the world. There is one worse than even the polluted priest. That old man's revenge has been blacker than my sin. He has violated in cold blood the sanctity of a human heart. Thou and I, Hester, never did so. This quote shows that once again, Dimsdale has failed as the reverend of the church. It also shows how Dimsdale declares Chillingworth as a sinner. Because he is a minister of the church, he has the power to get the rest of the town to believe Chillingworth is a worse sinner than Hester and himself. The rabbi in our congregation helps people decide what is moral or immoral. My dad believes that a rabbi is someone to look up to and someone to go to for questions.